Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I hope all of you are finding this Advait Makarand interesting. Very deep ideas, direct truth being given to us. Most, I would say, inspiring, illuminating scripture it is. Now, before we begin today's session, we'll go into the next four verses from 4 to 8. But before we begin that, let me give you some elementary ideas which are quite revolutionary. See, Advait Vedant tends to shock you many times. Take the shocks, I'm telling you. Let it shock the mind. Mind deserves that shock because it is we are trained in such a way, we are used to believing the output of our mind, the way it is conditioned, the logical apparatus it has, according to that we understand things, okay, according to our education. But the ideas of Advait Vedanta are so startling for the simple reason truth is quite different from what you imagine it to be. Truth does not come under your imagination. Your imagination has to be stretched to encompass truth. And that is what Vedanta does for you. It will help us do that. See, I'll put to you certain very fundamental questions. Grasp and see what they are trying to say. See, the objects that we see around us. Just now you are in the Himalayan ambience. There are such wonderful things around you. Okay, trees, these mountains, and this silence. Then you are in this hall, this library, books around you, so many objects around you. Where do you perceive all of this? Tell me. In your awareness? Yes? Any one of us, do we perceive it outside our awareness?
You cannot.
We cannot. It is only perceived in our awareness. See, if something is perceived in your awareness alone, then it is inextricably linked to your awareness, isn't it? In the absence of a self aware entity, whether something is there or not, you would not know. Perception would not be possible. And if that object, the objects around us, were self luminous by themselves, you wouldn't require another consciousness to know them. But they are not. Because yesterday I gave you the example, a lighted lamp does not need another lamp to reveal it, isn't it? The objects around us are only revealed by consciousness, by me, the real I, which means what? They are intrinsically non-self luminous. That's why it's an object. It's not the subject. It's an object. Object is that which objects to consciousness. This is Arindam Chakravarti's very wonderful definition actually. Just like how material matter around you is objecting to light, it reflects light off its surface and makes it visible. So also objects around you are becoming visible by the power of your consciousness. Right? Anything perceptible is perceptible only because of you. Now, this is a tremendous statement, Advait Vedanta. It's an observation, it's not a statement. This is the fact of existence. This itself means the object is non-self-luminous. It has no intrinsic existence as that object. It has no consciousness. You are illuminating it, as it were, and making it perceptible. So, it is an appearance. Does it make sense now? It's not really there as that object. It is an appearance in your awareness. And you don't even know what is there, what it is, because it has no intrinsic existence as that thing. Your faculty of perception actually is creating it, as it were. Yesterday, I think I threw a hint at this by saying the color, the size, the shape of any object It's all mind made. What is actually there, you see, you may say chair and table is there. Actually, only plastic is there. Your mind calls it a chair and a table. Is this right or no?
Right.
So this is what is called jnana drishti. Drishti jnanamayam kritva pashet brahmamayam jagat. The Upanishads will tell us. What are they trying to say? You must see the fundamental substratum of an appearance. And appearance, the Vedantic word for that is Maya. See, Maya, what does it actually, definition of Maya is Ya Ma Kintu Pratiyate iti Maya, which means Ya Ma means it's not there. Kintu Pratiyate, but appears to be there. That is Maya. So don't think Maya, all kinds of ideas we have about Maya. It's an actual fact of existence. Vivekananda used to say, you see, the theory of Maya, it's a statement of fact. It is actually an appearance in your awareness. Your awareness is required to illuminate it as an object, and your mind gives it all its characteristics. What you are seeing as characteristics of the object, it has no intrinsic existence in itself. Because if it was self-luminous, you wouldn't need another light to illuminate it. Which means it doesn't actually exist, but appears to exist. It is available to our perception. That is why you see, human life is full of contradictions and anomalies. You don't know how you were born. We don't know how we will die. You don't know what happens after death. Life itself is such a huge contradiction. You don't know what will happen tomorrow. And still we pass through this maze without even wondering, who am I? See, we never think of it. What is the nature of this existence? See, this world spread out before us. So many objects. What is the nature of this? What is life? What is consciousness? How is it that we pass through life without knowing what is life and what is consciousness? Isn't this Maya? No existential inquiry, and still we feel I'm comfortable, I'm happy. There's something seriously wrong with us, isn't it? Now, when these rishis did this, we feel they are strange beings. They are doing what is most fundamental in the human life. If you can, train your thought process to dive deep into the existential reality of life, you will come to Vedanta. It is such a scientific discipline. There is no belief here. See, am I ever telling you to believe in something? We will never insult you by telling you to do that. Nor is it about, you have to follow this philosophy or this system. You don't have to. Think for yourself. Nor are there any commandments. Nor are we drawing, intellectual equations or gymnastics. This is just an inquiry into the nature of our existence, and it appears like this. It appears like this. So once you get a grasp on this concept of Maya, you will understand Advaita Vedanta even better, what they are trying to say. Actual existence only pertains to consciousness. Because consciousness alone has intrinsic existence as that thing. Everything else requires the light of consciousness to illuminate it, to become perceptible as that object. So the fundamental datum of your experience is consciousness. The seat of your perception is consciousness. That is the meaning of Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. It is God alone who has become everything. Brahman alone is everything that there is. This is the meaning. And in the Puranas they will say, God alone. You see Prahlad's story? Vishnu is in every kan mein hai Bhagwan. He is in this pillar also. He is the pillar actually. Anything that you are perceiving as an object, please remember, is only illuminated by the light of your awareness. If that light was not there, you would not know what is there or what is not there. So the entire, what you are calling creation, is actually an appearance. However hard this may be to your senses and mind, this is the fact of existence. That's why we really don't know what life is, what death is. We really don't know the main things in life, what happiness is, what peace is, what love is. The essentials of life, we don't know. Because they don't pertain to mind, they pertain to consciousness. We never researched into that. How will we know them? So the whole point in Vedanta is come to the core of your own being through an inquiry like this. One great sadhu once told me, that even as a young boy, he asked this fundamental question, what is life? And he became so serious about it, tears would well up in his eyes when that question came to his mind. See, this is how knowledge comes. If you are yearning for it, it will come into your life. If it's an original question, it will come into your life, it will transform you. And if it is not an original question, no book and no YouTube video can give you knowledge. It only comes from within yourself. They can stimulate it to a certain extent, that's all. But the original inquiry should come from within us. Then only it is possible to grasp Vedanta. That's why I always talk of first person research. This is the meaning of first person research. You must suffer the pain of not knowing to understand the value of knowledge. Otherwise, we are really like what they call sleepwalking. Yes? You have seen sleepwalking individuals? They'll be in sleep, they are walking and they may even fall somewhere or anything can happen. They are in a daze. We are in a daze. We are sleepwalking. So that is why this is very precious knowledge. The knowledge of Brahman contributes to the deepest aspects of your life. When you uncover consciousness, please know you can handle mind also very well. It contributes to mind management. It contributes to focus and concentration. It contributes to memory. It contributes to attention, most of all. It contributes to, see, if there is mind management, there will automatically be time management. Managing people around you. Ambiguity management. It will contribute to all kinds of management. If you can handle mind, you can handle all of this. And if you can know consciousness, you can handle mind. Don't miss out this. Today's this mind management experts don't talk of pure consciousness. That's why then you falter in mind management. You will see it clearly that it is mind itself is an object to consciousness, isn't it? Is there a relationship between the two? Mind and consciousness? Everybody is trying to draw a relationship. Please, in neuroscience, if you have heard, neuroscience is trying to draw great relationships between the two. And medical science is drawing relationship. Brain scientists are always drawing relationships. And this physics is drawing a relationship. Can there be a relationship between, I told you, consciousness and its object? Can there be? Can there be? The only relationship is consciousness created the object. There is no relationship. It is shining in your light. What relationship can there be in it? With it? So the whole point is to center around the source of our being. Even to understand the object, what you're calling object. And then you will see it's purely mind-made, what you're calling objects. And it is illuminated by my awareness, so there is no intrinsic self-effulgence there. No existence there. It is an appearance. That's why you see Advaita Vedanta is unbudging in its convictions. Because once you see the truth, will you budge from it? See, when you know the truth about something, even if 10,000 people tell you, no, this is how it is, you won't budge from it. Isn't it? So this is an insight into the nature of existence. And all logic supports this actually. Because if you actually see the object, anything that appears as object to you, is illuminated only by your awareness and is interpreted only by your mind. So what you are calling perception itself is, it's what? It's a mechanism of Maya. You are not seeing what is. What is actually Brahman alone. All objects are reflecting nothing but the light of Brahman. But I am seeing all sorts of things, isn't it? Now look at the diversity of this world, the multiplicity. I see tree, I see hills, I see so much of greenery around me, I see people, I see separate objects with different attributes, different personalities, all mind made. You know, your own first person experience of yourself. Now, see, I may see you as a woman, okay, but your first person experience of yourself will always be I am a self aware entity. That will be the first experience. Think of the time when you were a child, a toddler. The first sense of I am an independent existence came. You always felt self aware. You didn't even remember your name too much. You didn't know how you looked. So you had no other concept of your persona, but you were self aware. And that contributed to your energy, your joy, isn't it? Hmm? So the first person experience of every being is this only. We are only experiencing Brahman. We call it by different names. We say we are seeing men, women, plants, animals, but we are only seeing Brahman. See, this idea he will tell us again and again. You are only seeing God. Vivekananda used to say, don't search for God, don't seek God, see God. Because God alone has become all this. That's the meaning. So, somewhere in our meditation or clear thinking, you must touch this idea by yourself. That is why then our attitude to all life should be one of deep respect and worship. As you would worship God, so also we will deal with all individuals around us. Everything around us. A worshipful attitude. So this he will now tell us, you see, in so many verses. Go to number 5. Na shosha klosha vikleda chedaha. That was Chit nabhaso mama satyairapi anila agni ambha shastrai kimuta kalpitaihi. I, the sky of consciousness, cannot be dried, nor burnt, nor wet, nor cut, even by real wind, fire, water, and weapons. What to speak of imagined ones? Does this verse remind you of any other verse? Bhagavad Gita. Achedyoyam adaroyam akledyo ashoshya evacha nitya sarvagadasthanur achaloyam sanatanaha. See, similar ideas are there. Nothing can cut the soul. Nothing can cut the Atman. Nothing can wet the Atman. Nothing can dry the Atman. Nothing can burn the Atman. Because the very nature of Brahman, the truth about ourselves, is it is non-material. It is of the nature of consciousness. Nothing material can touch it. In fact, matter is revealed by it. Right? So this is what he is saying. By wind, fire, water or weapons, nothing can touch it. And what to speak of imagined ones? What are the imagined ones? Somebody can hurt me. Somebody can make me anxious. All pure imagination, isn't it? Who can hurt you? See, at least for a day, please practice this. That I am the self. And everybody else is nothing but me in another form. So whoever says what, whoever thinks what, doesn't matter at all. Actually speaking, if this is practiced, all come under your fold. You'll see this in the life of saints. The saints have no enemies. Why? They don't see others as separate from them. This is the actual psychology. They actually see the same divine spark. So even if that person says something to you angrily, your child may sometimes show anger, isn't it? But how do you look upon your child? An extension of myself. They see something like that. A natural kinship comes with all creation. And even with what you call inert or insentient. See, this nature spread out before us, it is sentient. If you live sufficiently long in nature, I'm telling you, you will see it has a mind of its own and a consciousness of its own. And that is the way to spiritual knowledge. Nature is something magical, I'm telling you. If you want to transform your consciousness without coming into contact with any human being, just be in nature and you will learn everything. You know the story of Satyakama Jabala?
Yes.
Chandogya Upanishad? Tomorrow I'll tell you that story. Today, I don't want to deflect from this. So, nature has this power because it is Brahman manifest. These Himalayas, they actually, if you keep staring at the Himalayas for a long time, I'm telling you, the mind will go still and a sense of vastness overpowers you. How this happens? You are staring at a material object, but it is doing that because it is actually consciousness. It reflects consciousness best. Any pure substance will reflect it better. And these are mountains which are saturated with so many spiritual vibrations. Entire Vedant came from here. We are sitting on that ground. It's holy ground. So there's a stillness in the air. Stillness is awareness. Then go to the next slok. You see this one, sixth. Abharupasya vishwasya bhanam sannidhe vina kadachin navakalpeta bhachaham tena sarvagaha. Abharupasya vishwasya means of the world which by nature is, by itself it is unshining. The world by itself is unshining means what? It doesn't have consciousness. It is not a self-conscious entity. Your consciousness illuminates it and makes it perceptible. Bha sannidhe vina. Without the proximity of consciousness, it would not be revealed. The world which is non-conscious by nature would remain unknown without the presence of consciousness. I, who am consciousness itself, am therefore all-pervading. There are very many profound ideas in this verse. Please observe, Abharupasya vishwasya bhanam bha sannidher vina kadachin navakalpeta bhachaham tena sarvagaha. The world which is non-conscious by nature would remain unknown without the presence of consciousness. This much we understood. I, who am consciousness itself, am therefore all-pervading. Now, does that mean that everything spread out around us is non-conscious? What about the conscious entities around me? There is sentience, there is life, and there is also insentience. So, what brings this demarcation? What are they trying to say? See, all that they are trying to point out to is your consciousness illuminates an object, and that object, as it were, borrows consciousness from you. Borrows, it's all borrowed consciousness. Not from me, from Brahman, because my consciousness itself is Brahman. Everything shines by borrowed consciousness. However fantastic this may appear to your mind, think and see. See, you see the moonlight at night. Yesterday you saw such beautiful moon. Is it its own light?
No.
Moon has light?
No.
It borrows from the sun. But it appears like so effulgent. So also all of us appear effulgent because of the light of Brahman. The same light gets reflected in so many different minds and bodies and appears as different beings, conscious entities. But it's all reflection of the same light. So you require consciousness to illuminate every object. You require consciousness, Brahman, It is in the light of Brahman that everything shines. Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. See, these mantras of the Upanishads are so important. They are telling you the source of what you are calling creation is only one. We all borrow from the same source. And we shine. And we think we are separate individual entities. See, along these mountains, there are so many streams, like tributaries, they come down and then they join and become a mighty river. Now, once they have become the river, you cannot say which tributary water from which stream has come and become that, isn't it? So also, what we are calling life, consciousness, all of this, its source is only one. Only Brahman. We may say, see, the human mind creates enormous diversity. Right between ourselves. We think we are exclusive with regard to this, special with regard to this. I belong to this particular community, this particular religion. This is all creation of the human mind, please see. There is no real lasting truth about differences. Is there? They are so temporary and they are just appearances. The real truth is there is only existence, only consciousness, appearing in so many different ways. Suppose you are wearing so many gold ornaments. Suppose I say there is only one thing, you say, no, there are so many different ornaments. But the fact is it's only gold. Gold in different appearances. See, this is what they are saying. It appears to be different. If all my mental capacity is invested only in the appearance, I am very attached to this earring or this necklace, I will not see the gold. Right? But if I am not so attached, I will see gold and not the earring. To the jeweler, the one who has sold you that piece, he has seen only the gold and the weight of gold there. He has not seen. You are particular about the necklace or whatever, the ornament. So you see, there's only one thing, is what they are telling us. Appearing as very many different things. So that's why I, who am consciousness itself, am therefore all pervading. Now we go to the next one. Beautiful commentary is there. When you have time, please go through it. Lots of luminous ideas. Nahi bhana drite sattvam narte bhana chito achitaha chits sambandhopi na adhyasat rite tenaham advayaha. Without shining, there is no existence. See, catch these points. Very logical points they are. Without shining, there is no existence. Shining means the expression of that consciousness is what is called the shine here. There is no existence. Without consciousness, the insentient doesn't shine. Without superimposition, there is no connection with consciousness. See this, na adhyasat rite. The meaning is this, without superimposition, there is no connection with consciousness, therefore I am non-dual. Now you must catch this. Even logically it is very important to catch this, because if your intellect is convinced, I am telling you, you will enter into real sadhana. What they are trying to say is, there is anything that is insentient shines only in the light of awareness, isn't it? The fact that it's shining means it's existing. The characteristic of existence is there is expression, there is shine, bhati, there is luminosity there. See, anything, how do you know an object exists? It appears to you. It's shining in your awareness. This is what he's saying. And then he says, without consciousness, the insentient doesn't shine. The source of its shine is only consciousness. But without superimposition, there can be no connection of that object with consciousness. Now here, then you have to understand what the word superimposition. Superimposition is the characteristic theory of Advaita Vedanta, which will tell you how exactly consciousness Although actually speaking, it doesn't connect with the object, it appears to connect with the object so as to make it visible, so as to make it shine. Hmm? Now, let's take the example of how your mind functions to understand this adhyas or adhyarop, which is superimposition. It's a, you can say it's a theory, it is actually the mechanism of Maya, how the one appears as the many. See, your mind appears to be functioning. We all say, no, I have a mind of my own. It appears to be functioning by itself. It thinks its thoughts. It helps us perceive so many things. It brings us understanding. It brings us emotional, all kinds of emotions. It brings love into our lives. It does all this. But what is the source of the mind? How does it function? How does it shine?
Consciousness.
By itself, can it? Because you see, your mind also is an object to consciousness. So it is non-self luminous. It is only borrowed light. It is shining on borrowed light, like the moon. And because it is shining on borrowed light, to the extent it can reflect that light, that much it will sparkle. Intelligence is nothing but the sparkle of awareness in the mind. The more clear the mind is, the more it will reflect awareness, and that mind is called really intelligent. And the more tamasic that mind is, more dense with all kinds of clutter, badly conditioned clutter. To that extent, it won't reflect that awareness, the source of your being, and it will appear unintelligent. So, if we want our children to be very intelligent, let us help them get self knowledge that will contribute to real intelligence. The intelligence will really sparkle. You see, these great heroes of the Upanishads were very young lads. Nachiketa, Shvetaketu, Satyakama, 12, 13, 14 years, asking the greatest questions of life and going ahead and finding the answer. That level of intelligence is manifested through self-knowledge. Otherwise, it will be very small intelligence, I am telling you, only committed to analyzing matter, which doesn't exist. But you are claiming that is what is existing, and consciousness is an epiphenomenon of matter. See, we will make all such theories if we do not see what illumines what. We are not getting the cause-effect relationship correct. That's our problem. Causation theory itself is failing when you say matter creates consciousness. Don't people say matter creates consciousness? Who are the people? Brain creates consciousness. The greatest neuroscientists of the world are saying it. Consciousness is epiphenomenon of the brain, which means matter has created consciousness. Is it possible? You are doing even brain science in your awareness, na? Or outside your awareness. So, which means what? Consciousness is primary. I may not be able to see it or detect it, or my fMRI scan may not reveal it. But consciousness, because it is non-material, immaterial, it is primary. It is what reveals matter. So this is so fundamental to Vedanta, this observation, that you see, you can't topple their convictions. They will keep on insisting on this. And you see, why we feel this kind of a thing, that matter is creating consciousness, due to this adhyarop, superimposition. I have superimposed the light of awareness on mind and think mind is a self-luminous entity. This is superimposition. And then that mind superimposes that same light on the body and thinks body alone is self-shining. I am the body. And that is the truth about me. And further, body will also superimpose it on objects and think object is the truth. Matter is the truth of existence. So superimposition means although there is no real connection between the cause and the effect, between the source of consciousness and an object, I have assumed a connection because of the reflected light. I have assumed a connection. There is no real connection. See, now light is reflecting on my hand here. This hand is an object. which is catching that light. If I remove the hand, does the light cease to exist? It is always there. Consciousness, Brahman, reality is always there. To the extent you reflected that light, you appeared conscious. This is the truth. Not you became conscious, you appeared conscious. In fact, the truth about you is only consciousness, not this appearance. Body and mind are only appearances. That's why you do not know how they come up and how they dissolve. Isn't it? Is there any proof that we are perfectly the body? Tell me. Body consciousness itself arises only from time to time. If we have some pain and ache somewhere, then we become body conscious. Isn't it? You have to be made conscious of the body. You are not body conscious, but self-aware you are always. Check this out and see. What makes us say I am the body? Such a huge delusion. But you see, vast majority of humankind is convinced of this. Absence of Vedant and Vedantic thinking will lead to enormous delusion at all levels. Confusion only. No real knowledge. And we are comfortable in our confusion. That's why I told you there's nothing like knowledge. And superimposition means this much only. It is the mechanism of Maya, by which borrowed consciousness is considered as intrinsic consciousness. So the light of awareness is superimposed on the object and the object starts thinking it is self-conscious. Now, technically, if I go to explain this superimposition, it is a big chapter in Vedanta. Adhyarop. You can go to texts like Vedanta Sar and actually go into it. Satya Amrita Mithuni Karanam Adhyasaha. This is how they will define. Which means you are mixing up reality and falsehood. And you don't mind it. You are consciousness, you are Brahman, but you think you are personality. And you don't mind it. See, you can mix up, you can matter and non-matter can mingle when the mind is confused. Have you seen this? There's a funny story of a professor. So he's a professor of math and always involved in the world of math and doesn't actually live in the real world. So he has these habits that he, every evening at 5 o'clock, he goes for his walk, takes his walking stick and wears his coat, goes for his walk. By 6 o'clock, he's back and jumps back into his math. Now, one day what he did, so when he comes back home, he's always again hanging his stick, hanging his coat, and then goes to his table. One day what he did was, he went for his walk, but he was preoccupied with his mathematical problem and was trying to find a solution to it, so involved in it that when he came back, he put the stick and the coat on his chair and he hung himself on the hook. See, mingling of what you are and what you hold can happen when you are preoccupied with something. Like that, matter and consciousness have mingled in us. I am not able to clearly realize who I am. And I am very happy to be what I am not. As if not knowing oneself is bad enough, but knowing oneself to be something else, something pure matter is even worse, isn't it? And you see, everyone taking pride in it. I am like this and I am like that. You analyze it a bit and you will see it's nothing, but we think it is something. So all this is happening due to adhyas. We are not at fault. It is this adhyas that is at fault. Superimposition. But you know where it resides? In our buddhi. So we are at fault. We have not trained our mind to inquire and analyze properly, to do Vedanta Vichar. So we are happy to be little small creatures identified with the body and mind. Wearing a persona and thinking that is all of me. We are happy to do that. some once there was a person who was living close to Raman Maharshi for many years. And then he was transferred elsewhere, so he was very sad. And he came and sat near him and said, I'm going to, I think, Vellore or somewhere, and I can't bear it. And Bhagavan asked him, why? Why? Then he said, so many years I stayed near you and now I'm going far. And then Raman Maharshi declared in front of everybody, this man stayed with me for how many years? 30, 40 years something. 30 years, and he's saying now he's going far away from me. This is what he has imbibed from me. Then the man said, but Bhagwan, you are Bhagwan, I need you. And he said, you yourself are Bhagwan. You are with Bhagwan, in Bhagwan, and you are yourself Bhagwan. Only the body will move. The mind will remain here, and in awareness we are one, isn't it? Where do you move away from me? So for this to become real experience, this adhyas should go. Superimposition. And how exactly that happens, no? It's very interesting actually. You know that famous example of Vedanta, the snake rope analogy. Yes. You must have heard of it. See, it makes a lot of sense because that is what is actually happening. What is the analogy like? Somebody was going home in twilight and there was a piece of rope, but because of insufficient light, he thought it was a snake. As soon as the thought came in his mind that it's a snake, he stepped back and fear grasped his mind. Fear came into his mind in such a way, his buddhi got corrupted and he's now seeing only the snake. And he runs away shouting. Then he calls a whole lot of villagers and they come with lights and the torches, and then they see, oh, it's only a rope. Now they are using this analogy to tell us this is only Brahman. But there is insufficient light here in our buddhi. So I am seeing snake. All the time the mind is interpreting the world for us and with very poor light. So we are seeing bad people, negative people, and somebody harming me, full of fear, anxiety, identification, no clarity about anything. I am seeing the rope as the snake. So what is the solution? To bring a torch. That's the solution. What's the torch? Vivek and the light of awareness. That is the solution to adhyas. Otherwise, I will keep seeing snake only. And once fear kicks in, bas, no end to our confusion and delusion. That's why invest in spiritual knowledge. That is the torch. The light of illumination will clear everything. We will step into a different dimension, and we will know then how to handle the world, people around us. Otherwise, many, many decades of our life can go in, trying to correct somebody, trying to reform somebody, blaming somebody, carrying a heavy weight of resentments and negativities. Isn't it? Shake off all this nonsense from the mind. I'm telling you, no, nothing matters in your life than the value you give to it. See, this is one of the very important laws of mind management. Doesn't matter who says what. How much value you gave to it, how much you invested mental energy into it is all that matters. This is the power of your mind. Yes. So stop wasting energy. Energy itself is an expression of consciousness. We must not waste it in unnecessary things. Only two things, you make philosophy of your life. Practically, I will tell you. One is Vedantic study. Second is service-mindedness. That's your only relationship with the world. Because it's all Brahman and you have to serve God. That's all. Don't bother how that person is that I should serve, what he did to me or she did to me that I should do this. Don't bother about all that. Don't identify people with body and mind. They are not that. So, an attitude of worship, service, and deep diving into Vedanta. This is all sufficient as a philosophy of life. So, you see his conclusions in this verse. There is no connection with consciousness, and therefore, see, without superimposition, the object is not connected to consciousness. Therefore, consciousness is non-dual. What is what is appearing as the object is only an appearance. It's only consciousness. Only that's the only reality. Right? Superimposition makes consciousness appear as different objects. So that is why this imaginary sky palace, all these expressions are used only to give you the idea that it doesn't exist. Then you have na deho, nendriyam, chaham, na prano, na mano, na dhi. See, mamata parirabdhatvat, akridatvat, idam dhiyaha. I am neither the body nor the senses, neither life force, nor mind nor intelligence. Out of playfulness, the sense of mind has embraced the idea of this. If this understanding comes that this is my instrument through which I am functioning and I am not it, it's a huge liberation. So, with the spirit of playfulness, the subject engages with the object. See, the meaning of play is very interesting. What's the meaning of play? You know it will end. It's just temporary. And you just have to get fun out of it. That's the purpose. Now, this word fun is very corrupted. I should not use the word fun. But innocent fun, let's put it that way. In play, you know very well, it's only meant for, it's not real. So, for the realized person also, he doesn't take this expression real as real. He takes Brahman as real and this as a play. See, children play so many things, isn't it? And they enjoy even when they are defeated in the play because they know it's play, but we take it so seriously. See, the only problem with us is we give a permanent value to something impermanent. Life is impermanent, but we have, in some sense, in the background of our mind, we have given it permanent value. That it will go on forever and ever. Nothing will go on forever and ever. So, removing that sense of permanence from it will make it a play. This is how the real I engages with this. It is a huge divine play going on. See, all spiritual aspirants know one or the other bhav they will make dominant in their minds. Either it's a huge krida play, or it's a huge yajna, or it's a huge yoga, or it is huge maya, or it is the divine play of the Lord and I am playing with Him. So bhaktas, yogis, jnanis, all will relate in one particular paradigm. You take up what paradigm you want. Jnanis will really see the world as impermanent and unreal. So they will not give it permanent value and attention. But to Brahman they will give full attention, to knowledge. Take up any paradigm, but our understanding of the world, relationship with the world should be clearly defined. Otherwise, how we will waste our time and energy. See, if we don't have such a practical philosophy of life, we will not know what to do with our time and energy. And both are very limited, isn't it? What will we do with our time and energy? We will invest it into the world without understanding it. So getting up in the morning and going to your Facebook account is one example. Or going into, what is that? Breaking news. Always the news channels will have breaking news, all the time. Because they want to break our head with all sorts of information. And they don't want us to wait. They make it so interesting. It's a story, it's a narrative they are cooking up. Of course, you must know what is happening where so that you can be of service. But all the time, this excitability mode, it's called. Information impinging on your senses and mind is not required. Every morning, the first 1 hour, give it to spiritual practice. Practically, I'm telling you. This means you are really living by a philosophy of life. The first 1 hour is precious because your sanskars, your mind is fresh, it will have the power to retain sanskars. So you expose it to Bhagavad Gita, meditation, yoga, or some chanting, something like that. Rudram, not to all these other things. And evening also. Dawn and dusk are very precious times when nature becomes calm. So your mind also becomes calm. So this is how we will invest our time and energy. And then if you do this 1 hour morning, 1 hour evening, throughout the day the mind will function well. It will get interested in all this naturally. Otherwise you are at the mercy of your TV channels. What they are showing you will keep ingesting. That will become the sanskar. Do you know how sanskars are formed? See, this is all practical yoga psychology, which you must know. How do we create sanskars in the mind? By repeating thoughts. By repetition of thoughts, they are called vrittis in yoga, you create sanskars. So now see what kind of thoughts you are repeating throughout the day. What kind of thoughts? Vedant? Only Pangot retreat Vedant happens. Rest of the time, that will become your sanskar, please remember. We are the creators of our own destiny. What sanskars you make will unfold in your life as memories, as experiences, as circumstances, as people. What I cultivate in my mind will manifest around me. This world of Maya also is powerful. This is how it works. What you cultivate and nourish in your mind will start manifesting in your life. So understand the importance of thoughts. If I remain preoccupied with this level of thinking, Vedant, only good will manifest around me. The best minds will come to me automatically. Isn't it? Because I am high tuned. So this is the way to get real peace and fulfillment in life. Don't go hunting for pleasure. It doesn't exist out there. We are fooled by a whole lot of things. But this will give us that awakening, that whoosh. So let us get very serious about this knowledge. One more thing and I'll wind up. See, the way to study Vedanta, we started with Advaita Makaranda. For some of you, maybe it's like an introductory book to Vedanta. But you must keep to this literature. Excuse me. You must keep to this, not just these 7 days. In your own routine at home. If you keep to these ideas, the mind will constantly get tinged by this. Otherwise, after some time, I'm telling you, this will start appearing as very utopian. But the reality of everyday life will come back. And that reality is too silly. It is mind-made. Please see. And the actual thing, you will miss it. So keep in touch with this. There are classes going on all over the world. Just discussion of these ideas. Keep to that. And your meditative practices, all these should be the priorities of our lives, isn't it? Scripture, meditation, everyday chanting, worship of the divine, and worship of the divine in all beings. With one bhav, you should live and work. Let your social circles may say, oh, how impractical, what has happened to you? Don't worry about them. They'll come back to you. Don't worry. But initially all this happens, okay? But stick to this. We must stick to the real, isn't it? There's a beautiful shloka in Bhagavad Gita, Nasato vidyate bhavu, na bhavu vidyate satah. The real never goes out of existence and the unreal never comes into existence. Don't worry. Convince your mind of this. And this is the only way we can change our societies for the better. There's no other way. The individuals have to change and everything will fall in place. So spiritual knowledge, it is the basis of civilization. Please know this. See, in your history books, they will tell you religions were created after civilizations came up because people were well settled and that is how they started thinking about these things and this is how religions came up. The fact is the opposite. First, the inquiring mind came up and that is why civilizations came up. You see your own life and see. When do you really cross these bars and really improve the quality of your life? When some such idea catches hold of you. Isn't it? This is divine grace. So civilizations came up due to religious thought, due to the beauty of, let's say, spirituality, not religion. Because we have messed up the word religion with many things. The beauty of spirituality is it will transform your mind instantly. And then you decide what is civilized and what is uncivilized, and then you opt for higher and higher civilization. This is how actual evolution happens in societies. But if we undermine these thoughts only, you will go back to hunter-gatherer, forager kind of life. Yes. We may have all things around us, still you are hunting for pleasure. Isn't it that same kind of life? Today's children have so many entertainment channels. Still they will say, I'm bored. What's the meaning of that? I don't understand. See, we living so far away from cities and in such silence never get bored. In fact, 24 hours is not enough for me, I'm telling you. Always there's so much energy, enthusiasm, life, only because we live close to this. There's no question of boredom. Boredom is when you're too much impinging on your mind which you can't process and the mind itself is wrongly conditioned. It can't process anything. Then you will suffer boredom in the midst of plenty. Keep an empty mind, full awareness, you will never suffer boredom. So everything is connected to this. Please remember, consciousness contributes to the highest quality of life. Consciousness contributes to mind and its luminosity. Consciousness contributes to all your faculties of thought, emotion, feeling. Consciousness contributes to mind management, health management, and the fulfillment that life can bring. Consciousness contributes to that because happiness is a exponential function of awareness. This is the equation. So with this, let us end today's and we will take up again tomorrow. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.